Crude oil. So crude oil is formed over millions of years from the fossilised remains of plankton, and it is found in porous rocks in the Earth's crust. So crude oil is a finite, non-renewable resource that is used to produce fuels and other chemicals. So the way in which it is formed is layers of dead sea creatures on the seabed. Over millions of years, it gets sediment on top of them, and then eventually sedimentary rock forms on top, and the creatures become trapped and squashed. So with heat and pressure over millions of years, oil begins to form in the absence of oxygen. So what can we do with crude oil once we've drilled for it in an oil rig? Well, crude oil is a mixture of many different chemicals called hydrocarbons. So hydrocarbons are chemicals which just contain hydrogen and carbon only. And what you have is each hydrocarbon has a different length. So the longer chains tend to have a higher boiling point, and the shorter chains tend to have a lower boiling point. So what you do is the crude oil, you'll heat it so it all becomes vaporized. You'll heat it to a high temperature. And then it was put into something called a fractional distillation column. And then the hotter ones, the hotter, longer chain hydrocarbons will form at the bottom because it's hotter at the bottom than it is at the top. It's cooler at the top. And they will condense off at the bottom. And then at 370 degrees C, fuel oil will condense off. And then 300 diesel will condense off. 200 kerosene will condense off. 150 degrees C, petrol will condense off. And then 20 degrees C, butane and propane, things like camping gas, which have a lower boiling point and shorter chains, will go at the top. So the fractional distillation column is hotter at the bottom and cooler at the top. So you heat them all to vaporize them. The longer chain ones that have a higher boiling point will go at the bottom, condense at the bottom, and then the ones with a shorter chain, lower boiling point will condense at the top of the column, which is cooler. And what you tend to find is the more useful hydrocarbons are at the top. The shorter chain ones tend to be more useful. So the longer chain ones tend to be things like lubricating oil, paraffin wax, bitumen, which is used to make roads. The next one, you've got heavy fuel oils. Then you've got diesel and kerosene, which is used as the fuel in aeroplanes. And then you've got petrol, which is obviously quite useful for cars. And then you've got camping gas, LPGs, etc. at the top. So yeah, fractional distillation is where crude oil can be separated into different fractions or parts. So each fraction contains hydrocarbons with a similar number of carbon atoms. And as I said before, what happens is the crude oil is heated until it evaporates. The vapour moves up the fractionating column. The top of the column is colder than the bottom. So the shorter hydrocarbons molecules reach the top of the column before they condense and collected. The longer hydrocarbon molecules condense at a higher temperature and are collected lower down. Okay, that is it.